Well, good morning, students. In previous lecture, we have seen the introduction of the operating system. We have discussed few of the examples of the operating system. What are those which we knowingly and unknowingly use it lot of times? We have discussed all those examples over here. Then we have seen the components of the computer system. We have elaborated it along with this diagram also. What are the different components and where exactly our operating system, for which we are going to discuss further, where it sits. Right? We have even seen the technical definitions of this, what these terms means: resource allocator, control program, kernel, and all. We have elaborated on these technical terms, and as said, we have seen the examples of what operating systems do. Well, now in this session, we shall proceed further with the operations of operating system. There are many of the operations of the operating system. All those operations have been categorized in few of this, right? All those functions of the operating system, we can call it as a operations of the operating system, have been categorized in groups, main groups. So the process management is one of the major function of the operating system. See, observe over here, everywhere management word has been used. It means that every task related to that activity comes under it, not only a single task. Management stands for all round activities regarding to that particular task, right? So management is one. Second is the resource management, memory management, file system management, IO subsystem management, and last one is the security. Now we shall see all these operations one by one. First one is the process management. Now before this process management, we need to understand what is process. We will not go into the details of all these what is the process, because we will see it somewhere into the later chapter which speaks about processes separately. But right now over here, what is process? We shall focus only on what is a process. A technical definition, this definition is more than to understand. A simple process is a program in execution. That's it. A process is a program in execution. So how to explain it with the help of example? If I take any of my program, my application, whatsoever it is, right? Let's say my Java program, I have opened my Java program, right? My Java program file is open for you, but I am not executing it right now, and hence it is a program. When it is stored onto the memory, when it is open on a screen, it is a program for me. But the moment I execute that program, it becomes process for the operating system, right? The program itself gets converted into the process, and only the process, the commands, the instructions which are under execution, which are in execution, are treated as the process. So right now you can treat when a program is stored on the backspace, when the program is stored on the secondary storage, this is a program. When a program is open on for you on a screen, it is a program. But the moment when we execute, when we run the program, it becomes the process, right? So that's enough for you right now. And this process is what is the unit of work within the system. Program is a passive entity and process is the active entity, right? Passive entity is that it is being stored, and when it becomes ready, when it is executing, the moment it is executing, it becomes the active entity. So process, you can simply say something which is in execution, right? Now let us not the process, and this is also, this technique is also right now important for us. The process needs resources to accomplish its task. Now resource, in previous session I had well explained you the meaning of the resource. Resource is anything, any atom which is useful to you to do a particular task, right? As I said, as right now I am conducting this online session, so laptop, my internet, this PDF file of the notes, Then the WebEx Cisco through which I am conducting, all hands become a resource for me. Right? If you are noting down something for you, your pen and notebook becomes a resource for you. Right? And even for you also, a laptop, your Wi-Fi, everything, your headphone is becoming a resource for you. So resource is what? Resource is something, any item which is needed to do to execute a particular task. So that's enough for you right now what is process to understand. From this, we shall speak about what are the different process management activities operating system does at the backend, right? So operating system is responsible for following many of the activities. The first one, creating and deleting both user and system processes. Right now, you just focus on it. What is creating and deleting, right? As program is already in existence, but when program is being executed, process, that means somewhere process needs to be created out of that program. So the task becomes that create the process. So that who will do that task? So the process management component will do this task. So we can call it as a one of the operations of the operating system, and that is under the process management, right? So creating a process, as again we are saying that program in execution. Once the execution of the program is over, right, we come out of the execution of the program. What OS needs to do? OS needs to delete that process. Deleting a process does not mean deleting a program. Program is program that somewhere resides in, right, and process is something executing in a RAM right now, right, and with a CPU right now. So deleting, once the execution is done, we need to delete it. So the two tasks, create a process time being, delete a process once the task is done. Then next, this is one task. Next is suspending and resuming the processes. Suspending and resuming. Ultimately, it's something means to temporarily stop the process execution and again restart the stop process, right? Somewhere during execution of a process, it's not always means that the process is continuously in a running state. Due to many of the reasons, the process which the program which is in execution, which has become a process right now, needs to stop for lot many reasons. Like for example, if it is your C program and my program says that enter a number. As soon as the statement enter a number displays on a screen, my program waits, holds on a screen until and unless user enters some number from the keyboard, right? That is what now process has been stopped temporarily, right? Because it is waiting for some input from the keyboard, right? That is the one of the example. So who does this task? That is, you need to stop, that is suspend the process for temporary time. And once the number entering from the keyboard has been done, again we need to, that is the operating system needs to restart that process. That is resuming a process. Next, providing mechanism for process synchronization. Now, process synchronization, later on in this chapter, we'll come to know about the multiple processes CPU is handling at a time. So, if there are more than one number of the processes with the system, it needs a proper synchronization among all processes simultaneously present with the system, right? Then next, providing mechanism for process communication. Now, for many of the reasons, processes into the system communicate with each other, right? Either the process within a program itself will speak to each other, or processes on same system would communicate, processes on the different systems would communicate, and lot many things. For example, again, I take example of your C program. If your C program is running somewhere, you have mentioned include so and so header files for it, right? And somewhere you give a call to the function which belongs to that particular header file. During that time, what your program does, that is process as it is in execution right now. So what that process, it speaks to that header file. Now that header file is another program, right? So it needs to speak to other process, right? Now, chatting, sending messages is the best example of process communication, right? So this is again a one task done by the operating system. And the last, providing mechanism for deadlock handling. Again, there would be a separate topic on this deadlock handling. So deadlock is what something wherein your process, your system stucks, where from it cannot work further. It cannot proceed further, right? That is while traveling, you are stuck somewhere that you do not know where to go, right? Or while traveling, you are running out of the resources, like some problem with your car, you are stuck in, you cannot move further, right? So that is what the deadlock. This situation may arise into the system due to multiple processes running simultaneously into the system, right? And that's why this may happen into the system, and operating system needs to take care of this deadlock handling also. If you are stuck in with your traveling, you need to find out for the route, you need to fill in the petrol, you need to repair your car. That is what the handling is. Same thing your system will do, will take some of the actions to handle with this deadlock, right? Next is what? A memory management. The next task from the operations of the operating system is the memory management, right? Now, memory management, basically, let us understand the importance of memory. Of course, it's very obvious that for every task we need a memory, right? For anything, any file we are making, any data we are creating, we need to save it somewhere into the system, right? We need to save it somewhere into the system, either on your hard disk, either on your pen drive, or everywhere, right? You need to store it, right? Now, the memory management determines what is in memory and when, and optimizing the CPU utilization and the computer response to users. This is something a bit technical. Out of it, the next one, memory management activities. Now, before this, let's give you an example of memory management. That is, let's say you have one wardrobe that is been allocated to you at home. You are supposed to keep your at to it, right? So one wardrobe is nothing but one memory, right? One huge memory unit block given to you. Now, how you are allocating the items given to you into that memory? That is how you are storing, right? Now you have lot many things to store into that wardrobe, lot many different types, categories of your clothes, your other accessories, and lot many things. Could be your school bags and many more things to store into the wardrobe. Now, what is next is what you need to take care of, that how properly those atoms should be should be stored into the wardrobe, right? There are different compartments of the wardrobe, right? Different compartments of the wardrobe. You decide in where to put what. Then once particular compartment is free, you could put something other atoms into that particular compartments and so on. This is just a real life example, right? In the same way, in case of the memory management activities, what operating system needs to do, that is, it needs to keep a track of, right? It needs to keep a track of which parts of the memory are currently being used and by whom, right? That is, in which compartment of your wardrobe what is kept, right? Is it free? Is it occupied, right? Deciding which processes and the data to move into and out of the memory. That is, which atoms to move out of your wardrobe's compartment, right? Once one wardrobe compartment is full, कि जिसमें आप लोग पैंट रख रहे हो, right? Next time you may decide कि इसमें shirt रखना है कि if it is full, if the compartment of the pant is full somewhere, you need to find out the other compartment, right? Where you could put your other day-to-day used pants or the extra pants, right? In case of girls, you go on sorting the things, right? And you keep a track of which compartment is full, which is free, and which atoms you're placing it, right? That is what being used by whom, that which process is using which memory block. And last one is allocating and deallocating memory spaces as needed. Allocating is simply what? Storing, right? That this is the job of the operating system. Now, in our case, you as an operating system taking a decision, and you as operating system is putting your atom into the wardrobe, right? And now you decide, okay, now I have a new set of a pant and shirt, where to keep it, right? You decide on looking into the wardrobe, you decide on अरे इसको किस में रखना है. So your operating system you are deciding कि इसे किस में रखना है, right? And later on कभी तो आप wardrobe की साफ सफाई करोगे तो you will decide कि कैसे वो compartment खाली करने हैं कोई तो भी, right? And how to better utilize it, right? Again that comes the part of the memory management and garbage collection if you might have heard of कि जो भी थोड़े थोड़े blocks खाली है उसको free कराना है. So in short, memory management simply deals with a storage, how to manage the storage, right? जैसे कि OS के पास कोई भी नया डेटा आएगा स्टोर करने के लिए तो OS will decide कि इसे कहाँ पे स्टोर करना है, कैसे स्टोर करना है, and OS keeps a central list. For example, it keeps the central list of कि मेमोरी के कौन से ब्लॉक में किसका डेटा स्टोर्ड है और क्या डेटा स्टोर्ड है, किसका मेरा डेटा स्टोर्ड है, क्या डेटा स्टोर्ड है, राइट? जैसे कि आपका डेटा स्टोर्ड है कि आपके क्लोथ स्टोर्ड है, वैसे ही कि कौन से प्रोसेस का डेटा स्टोर्ड है, उस प्रोसेस का रजिस्टर का वैल्यू स्टोर्ड है, उस प्रोसेस का डेटा का वैल्यू स्टोर्ड है, राइट? सो इट keeps a track on all these things. So this itself becomes a huge task for the operating system. Now the next operation of the operating system is file system management. For every, as I repeat, for everything something and then the management. किसका management, right? Process management किया, memory का management किया, अब किसका management करना है? File system का. Again, there is a last chapter on this file, right? Unit number 6 on the file system. So that what is a file system, right? Again, on daily basis, every time you are using a file, right? Right now I have opened my PowerPoint presentation. What is it? It's my one file, right? I have opened one Word document wherein I am storing your report for today. What is that? One Word file, right? So file is ultimately something is what that it stores your data. Now operating systems provides uniform logic of the information storage. So file is one unit of storing the information. What I was saying कि आपको memory में information store करने for each and every program. But in which form? आपका C का program है, Java का that is also one file. Program 1, program 2.c, that is also one file. So what file become? File has become. File is simply a unit for information storage, right? और operating system क्या करता है? It provides a uniform and the logical view. Now it provides this view. What does it mean? If I click on my computer, right? What it shows to me? It shows me different C, D, E drive. If I click on C and D drive, right? What does it show me? It shows the different folders hierarchically arranged into it, and within a folder there are the files. So what does it mean? That my data, my information has been properly saved into the system in some hierarchical manner. अगर फाइल नहीं हो रहती, फोल्डर नहीं रहता, तो हाउ कुड वी सेव आवर प्रोग्राम? कहाँ पे सेव करते, बाद में उसे कहाँ पे ढूंढते, राइट? व्हाई आर वी एबल टू फाइंड आउट आवर प्रोग्राम? कि वी नो कि मैंने प्रोग्राम कहाँ पे सेव किया, मैंने प्रोग्राम ये वाले फोल्डर में, ये वाले ड्राइव में, इस फाइल के नाम से स्टोर किया, एंड हेंस यू आर एबल टू फाइंड आउट दैट, राइट? सिंपली, सो व्हाट इज अ फाइल? बेसिक यूनिट ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोरेज. और ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम क्या करता है? ये जो स्टोरेज का यूनिट है फाइल, उससे मैनेज करता है और उसका व्यू देता है आपको, यूनिफॉर्म लॉजिकल व्यू देता है आपको, सो दैट यू कुड इजीली गेट अ होल व्यू, राइट? आपका जो एक्सप्लोरर रहता है सिस्टम का, दैट इज व्हाट वन टास्क provided by the operating system, that it shows you the list of all the data stored into the system. System management is what? Now different activities under this. Files usually organized into the directories, right? We are doing it by using the user interface provided to us, right? But at the back end, OS क्या काम करेगा कि सारे फाइल्स को डायरेक्टरी में स्टोर करेगा, as per our UI direction. Access control on most of the systems to determine who can access, right? This is what there are access restrictions to many of the files. We can set it explicitly, right? I can set permission to a folder कि कोई open कर सकता है कि नहीं कर सकता. I can set a password key. That is the access given to that. And now different OS activities for this regarding this file management comes to be create and delete file and directories. A single line but a huge task, right? File create karo, file delete karo. Now for us at our end, if I click on file, if I click on something, is that visible to you on your screen? Right now I have clicked on file. Is that visible to you or a gray box is visible to you? My end, if I click on file, if I click on new, that is creating a new file, right? And I'm creating a blank new document. From as a user, I'm using this UI, user interface, that click here, and then click here, right? Now, what should happen at the back end of this click event has been open presentation. But again, back to that code, somewhere it is being connected to the operating system कि यूजर ने यहाँ पे क्लिक किया है, यूजर को नई फाइल क्रिएट करनी है. अल्टीमेटली दिस कॉल गोज बैक टू द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम दैट यूजर वांट्स टू क्रिएट अ फाइल. हम लोग उसका यूआई यूज कर रहे हैं. उस जीयूआई के पीछे जो भी कोड लिखा होगा उस एप्लीकेशन ने लिखा है. अल्टीमेटली वो वाला एप्लीकेशन भी बैकएंड में जाके ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम को ही कॉल करेगा, राइट? सो अल्टीमेटली एट द बैकएंड इट बिकम्स अ टास्क फॉर द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम. फाइल क्रिएट करो, फाइल डिलीट करो, directories create करो and directories delete करो. Then primitives to manipulate files and the directories, right? Now one example I had given you, that is the interface. Apart from that, there are many command line based things also, with the help of which I can create these files and the directory. Again, there are different attributes to it also, which we can set it explicitly. Now next, files onto the secondary storage device, right? सेम थिंग कि अगर मैंने मेरे सिस्टम से फाइल में सेकेंडरी स्टोरेज पे कॉपी पेस्ट कर रही हूँ, वहां से रिट्रीव कर रही हूँ. And the last one is what? Backup the files. This mapping is what? That I'm taking it from the somewhere, wherever it is primarily located, and I'm shifting it somewhere. That is simply a cut copy paste. And backup files is what? Take a backup on a regular basis. Few of the systems takes the backup. Simply the existing files are there. You need to make a copy of it, right? But when I say backup, operating system does it, right? I don't need to get a copy of everything. So these are few of the things which operating does regarding the file system management. The operation of the operating system is IO subsystem. IO stands for input and output. This example also I had given you regarding the understanding of the operating system. That operating system needs to fit to or understand different input and the output devices connected to it, right? So there are the different IO systems connected to it. Now, the different tasks related to all these IO devices comes under the task as IO subsystem. Again, a management has to be there. Now, what it is responsible for? Memory management of IO, including buffering, right? Caching. So right now, just focus on what is memory management of IO. जो भी input output devices connected है system से, yesterday also I had given you example that I can type in from the keyboard and that data goes to the system. But मैंने यहाँ की system पे keyboard पे कुछ तो भी type किया let's say और वो directly यहाँ पे display होगा. For me, I am getting a feel कि directly वो system पे display हो गया. But somewhere उसे कहीं तो भी intermediate उसने store किया कि नहीं data. आपको एक variable accept करना है, आपको container चाहिए, एक variable चाहिए. If I enter to number 2, it somewhere goes to into the variable and then it displays to your system. In the same sense, जो भी I am typing from the keyboard, it's been displayed over here, but on the way somewhere it has been temporarily stored. That is temporarily उसका जो memory है वहां पे कहीं तो भी उसने उस पर डिस्प्ले किया. इनपुट से एक्सेप्ट किया कीबोर्ड से और आउटपुट है मेरा स्क्रीन उस पर डिस्प्ले कर दिया. So somewhere it becomes the catching of the data, somewhere you need to buffer that data, and spooling it, make a queue कि बहुत सारा data आ रहा है तो उसका queue बना के चल रहा है, right? General device driver interface for connecting. Once any of the device is connected to your system, operating system or your system directly cannot understand that IO device. Understand the operation of that IO device, its specific driver has to be installed on the, and that driver is the part of the operating system. That is part operation of the operating system. That is what the devices drivers for the specific hardware device. This is what the general and this is what the specific. अभी जनरल है कीबोर्ड और माउस वो बाय डिफॉल्ट सिस्टम के साथ आता है. Apart from this, if I connect any of the device, that explicitly needs the driver for it. And coming to the last operation of the operating system is what? Protection and the security, right? One and the same thing, that is at its basic level, what different types of the security options or the protection options operating systems provides to the user, right? Now, what this protection is, it is a mechanism of controlling access for the processes or users to the resources, right? I can lock a folder. I'm providing one type of the protection, a service provided by operating system. Now, normally when I speak about security and protection, the things comes to the point that अरे कोई firewall है क्या, कोई antivirus install किया है क्या? Those all the additional layers of the security we provide to our system. But by default, what different types of the security operating system provides? So the by default, this one basic operating, the basic protection is provided is what key? Access restrictions. I can restrict who can access which folder, right? That is the basic protection of security. Next is security is what? Defense of the system against the internal and the external attacks, right? There are many of the things right now we will not right now, but simply what is security in me? Protection is what? Controlling the access, and security is what? Giving the defending the system against some attacks, right? Now system generally distinguish among users, determine who can do and what. Now, the example under this security, that is user identifier, that is user ID, and the group identifiers. Let us speak about the user ID, user identifier. Simply, that is you need some login ID to log in, some username and password to log in into your system. The first level of the security provided by the operating system, right? As if you do your login to your Gmail account, any mail account or anything, right? So for accessing to, once your system is started, your system asks you your log to log in, to enter username and password. This is the very first level of the security given by the operating system. Until and unless you know the username and password of the system, you cannot log in into the system and you cannot work, right? A very first security, right? And we take it very commonly. Being at home, your systems might be open for you and you are knowing its username and password very well. But once you go to other offices, laboratories, you need to know what is the username and the password, right? Then and then only you would be able to access that system, right? So this is what, right? From this, you can take only the two examples for the operating system. One is login. Once you log into a system, that is one level of the security provided by the operating system. Second, there are lot many controlling access. For example, you can lock a folder, you can lock a file so that nobody can access it, and you can specify who can access it, right? That is the one level of the protection and the security provided by the operating system. So to summarize, we have seen the different operations of the operating system, as we have spoke about process management, we have seen resource management, we have seen memory management, we have seen file system management, IO subsystem management, and last one is the security and the protection, right?